You guys, I've got a very, very special guest. I'm so excited to have this guest as our first guest for season 2. Come on out, Lord Izac! Hello!
Oh my God, Apollo!
I am so excited for you to join me for season 2. Are you ready?
I am so ready for this.
Let's continue the conversation.
All right, let's get into it. After you.
I'm sitting waiting and I'm wishing on a star.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to One More Thing with Ash. This is episode 2. I am joined by my lovely friend, Lord Izac. Welcome.
So glad to be here. I am excited.
I am so excited for you to be here. I remember asking you to do this, and so I'm glad we are finally here. Last episode, if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. If you're joining us back, welcome back. This space is for you. This is space for me, for us to be and heal while having one honest conversation at a time. So I am so excited to invite Lord Izac to the conversation. Lord Izac is an LA-based DJ who plays throughout Southern California, and you can catch him weekly in West Hollywood and in Long Beach. It's actually where we met.
Exactly.
It is crazy to believe that a year ago, I just invited you to one of my events for bottle service, and I was like, I just gotta talk to this guy. So, we've hung out so many times, and we've had a car ride together from Palm Springs, and we've talked about some really deep, deep things. So I once again want to welcome you to One More Thing. So. Are you excited to be here?
I'm ecstatic. I am living for this.
Are you excited? This is where all the magic happens.
Yeah, this is a great production situation here. I was expecting like a closet and maybe like a light bulb, but
I spent enough time in the closet. So.
That's part of I guess what we're gonna talk about today.
Pretty much. So, in the last episode, we talked about trauma, where it can happen from when you're a kid, it happens environmentally, it could be from a car accident, it could be from a relationship, it could happen, really, trauma can happen at any point in your life, and the way you respond to it and the triggers I mentioned a little bit in the last episode, but we're gonna dive a little bit into it. How would you describe trauma?
That's a good question. Trauma. I would say that trauma is something unhealed in the mind and the body.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be my best guess. Or if someone were to come up to me like you.
Yeah. So it's like a shock to your nervous system. It's like,
yeah.
And it's physical. And sometimes I've seen some people where you don't know. I mean, obviously different conversations, people are different, but you say one word and it kind of, you can see it in their face, like that body jerk. That's traumatic, because it's like, oh my God, even like the word, like, I don't know, it could be
eggplant.
It could be eggplant. It could be traumatizing for you. But anywho, no, but
Trauma. Come on, trauma.
We're gonna start over.
No, we're keeping rolling. Keep it rolling, bitch.
Keep it rolling. Okay.
Keep it going. You can cut it out.
You can cut it out. Okay.
Cut it out.
So, where were we then?
So you asked me about trauma and what I thought my definition of trauma was. I said that I felt like trauma was, how do you say, like something unresolved in the body and the mind off of a situation that you didn't have tools for in that moment.
So anyways, but yeah, you can gain those tools.
Yeah.
You can. I mentioned in the last episode, I went to therapy for 1.5 years after my long-term relationship, and let me tell you, therapy is everything. A lot of people think that, therapy doesn't work or it doesn't help, but it really helps to hear from a third-party person that is not a family member or close friend of yours, or a boss, or anybody that's in your immediate life. And so I encourage you all to reach out to a therapist to get help there. But can trauma teach us something?
Yes.
In what way? Does it? I think, in my opinion, it teaches something really about us and how strong we are.
It definitely can be that, for sure. What does it teach us? It could teach us how resilient we can be, how strong we can be. It also teaches us how human we are, because there's a lot of times when I'm in my relationship and like we're chopping it up, then like you need to do the dishes, I need to do the dishes, and then I realize that I'm getting mad at him for like no reason, and I'm like, oh, that's because when I was younger, blah 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 blah, and that's where I'm like, okay, that's the trauma in me talking. So that's where I'm like, roll it back, stay calm, yada yada, all that kind of
Is
stuff.
that a real situation?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Where
no,
you and your boyfriend
legit.
are
Like
doing dishes?
we, yeah, not this relationship, but like a different relationship. We figured it out on this one. This one's
You
good.
figured?
Yeah, but the one before was like, who's doing the dishes? Are you doing them right?
Okay.
And that was a trigger for both of us. And I
Okay.
think we're gonna get into triggers too.
Yeah,
But,
we will.
but yeah, trauma can be very humbling. You can realize that like, damn or darn, you know, I got a lot to work on.
Right, but but expand. I really want to hear about that in your last relationship. So it was it you were washing dishes and what happened?
So okay, so actually we broke up because of dishes one time. What
Breaking up because of dishes.
It's a real thing. Well, there's a couple things. Yeah, so let's just focus on the dishes.
Okay.
I didn't put the dishes in the dishwasher, and I didn't wash the dish before I put it in the dishwasher.
Okay.
What is the purpose of a dishwasher but to wash the dish? Why do I have to wash the dish before I put it in the dishwasher?
You don't wash the dish before you put it.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Is this triggering for you? Is
No,
this
it's not
trauma?
trigger. It is not trauma.
That sounds-
I just
that
washed
sounds
the
like-
damn dish, dang dish.
There you go.
Before
It's her trauma. Her trauma showing up.
you know, it does, sometimes it doesn't get all the stuff off the dish.
No, you're right. You're right. And I think that's where I had to realize that there was a purpose behind washing the dish,
Okay.
but I didn't recognize that until after the relationship ended, that the gunk does get into the filter and it makes it harder and like more expensive of a situation.
Okay.
And so that's where I was like, you know what? I should have just listened. Maybe I shouldn't have been too hard.
Okay.
But because of my previous experiences, I was defensive. I was going at it like, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. You can't tell me how to wash a dish kind of thing. So I think that's where I became humbled through my trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And I think trauma can humble you. Trauma
Yeah.
can teach you a lot
It
about.
can teach you a lot.
Yeah, yeah, girl, I'm a human. That's what I learned.
Wash your dishes before
Wash-
they go in the dishwasher.
wash your dishes.
But I feel like I think that was a great example of how you don't realize you have the trauma until it comes in situation. And I feel like I talked about in the last episode, I feel like I had a very short term relationship 2 years ago. And I feel like I brought that trauma from my last relationship into that one. And then I like sat back and the guy that I was dating was like, Ash, I'm not him. Like, I'm a normal guy.
Mm.
I got stuff I'm working on, but I'm not about to blow up at you because you decided to take a chill day today or you were lazy today. Like, that's okay. Like, I'm not gonna get mad at you. And I've blown up on some guys and realizing like, oh gosh, am I the drama? Am I the one making it worse?
You're not the drama, you're the trauma.
Ha ha ha.
Anyways, move along. Anyways, but I see
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that, and I feel like that's why I feel like I am ready for another relationship. Obviously, we're waiting for the right time and the right person, someone that treats me right. Go back to season 1 if you want, are able to, haven't seen it yet. But I, I I am more conscious. I'm sure things will come up as I date someone and realize, oh, that's because I experienced this in my past or I experienced that in my past, and that's why I get so aggressive about certain things. I also see it sometimes in my friendships. Like I'll get super shut down if somebody is just doing something that reminds me of like, oh gosh, that reminds me when I was in 8th grade and I got yelled at by my 8th grade teacher. We're me and my 8th grade teacher were cool now. We're friends now, but
If she sees this,
if you see this, hi.
or if they see this, I don't know what their gender is.
She.
Okay, very
That was a
good.
Catholic school.
Okay, well,
There
better be a
There
she.
is no they pronouns in Catholic school, let me tell you. But do you think that trauma is bad or is it good?
I'm gonna say bad. I'm gonna stick with bad.
Okay. I'll
I
give the alternative. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Okay, period. Okay, I love that. So I think trauma is inherently bad. I think because it doesn't allow the person to grow in that type of situation.
Okay.
So let's say, for instance, if I'm a baby and there's like a blue balloon in front of me and that blue balloon pops and I freak out,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's a potential that like I will hate the color blue or I will have like a balloon phobia.
Hey. Okay.
Right. So, um, in that, I feel like those instances can stop the development of a person.
Okay.
That would be my best answer to is it good or bad?
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
I would say that trauma, it's good, because it allows you to learn something about yourself, and realize or discover something about yourself you didn't even know. Going back to my relationship trauma with my ex of 4.5 years, that, gosh, I can't believe it's already been 6 years.
Damn.
You guys would not recognize me, like I've said, but I think it's good because it makes you stronger. It teaches you a lot about yourself. I learned that I'm not what my ex put in my head.
Yep.
Um,
Amen to that.
and my friends Tracy reminded me who I am, so I'm hi Tracy. Yes, I mentioned you twice already.
We love Tracy.
We do. But I think it's good because it really does, it reveals something about yourself and it makes you stronger. So when you're presented with the same situation again, you know how to handle it. And the next situation is not going to be the same, but you're like, okay, this is what happened last time. I can do it again. And bad, I think if I'm going in between good and bad, yes, it is bad, but here's the real truth: bad things are going to happen to you and you can't control it. You either learn from it or you get stuck in it.
Right.
You know, think about it. Lion King, Hakuna Matata. I mean, either
Hakuna Matata.
no worries, really. I mean, but that's Disney, so hopefully we don't get hurt from that, from Disney. We love you,
I,
Disney.
I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna worry too much about using Hakuna
Well,
Matata.
Hakuna Matata, Lion King, all the things, but
Um,
I think it's good. But oh, shoot, anyways, lost my train of thought.
well, let's talk about Hakuna Matata. Actually,
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, let's see if we can piggyback off of Hakuna Matata.
Okay.
Right. Something bad happens. You know, the little
Okay.
lion situation. You know, loses a father,
Uh-huh.
and then like his two buddies are like, you know, forget about it. Like,
Okay.
is it like a forget about it phrase or is it like a move on from it phrase? Like, what does this phrase mean in this context to that little lion? Like,
I think you have to. You saw. I mean, if I mean, as a Disney gay I am, you saw the progression of Simba and he moved on. I think that goes back to anything that you guys are experiencing in life. Either you stay in it, stay in the mud, or you climb you build, what's the word I'm looking for, or you get yourself out of it. You have to move on from things, and as hard as it is, like, but there's also no timeline from that traumatic experience. It took it has taken me six it took me, after that relationship, I think it took me a good 2 years to actually be um happy again. I was so miserable in that relationship and how traumatic it was, and like I said, I felt like I wasn't going to be loved again. So I think bad things are going to happen. Trauma can be bad, but you can make trauma good if you're willing to learn from it and grow from it. And you have to be ready for that change. And sometimes change scares a lot of people, and that trauma does come with that. So
can I
go ahead,
piggyback off of that?
go ahead.
Actually, so something that I have been reading recently and I've been kind of like holding on to is a lot of people say that like you need to be single and work through what you need to work through
Sure.
before you know you get into your next relationship.
Mm-hmm.
What I've been reading thus far is kind of like the opposite, where like the growth can happen in the relationship.
Oh,
The
okay.
relationship needs to be supportive of that growth, though.
Yeah.
So let's say, for instance, if you and I are in a relationship
Okay.
and you're like, wash those dishes, and I'm like, no, then you could be like, I understand and I hear where you're coming from, but I also have needs, and then it's
Okay.
my job then to kind of like reach out to you and be like, okay, I understand where you're coming from and try and meet you there. And then that's where that trauma of mine should be like, okay, I have the opportunity now in a new relationship to like try a different path.
So, yeah.
Try a different path, try something different.
Yeah.
And then your supportive role is like, thank you for doing this for me because this is what I need.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be like, of course, I love you.
Yeah, but that is an ideal situation. I feel like basic communication and like slowing down. I think that was one positive thing that came out of that very short relationship that I had. He actually wanted to sit down and talk about it and us hear both sides. Um, but it's you have to be willing to talk about it and have that communication with and being a little bit. I think if you're in a relationship with somebody or you're friends with somebody, being aware of like their nonverbals and everything, like, and be like, oh, this is actually affecting them. So actually sometimes I've had conversations with people and I've stopped because I'm like, is this triggering for you? Is this bringing back something traumatic for you? So
Yeah. Can I
yeah, go for it.
piggyback off of that again?
That's it. Go ahead.
Another piggyback. We just love our piggies today. I learned from my relationships that I was in a relationship with an older gentleman and I was like all about me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got into a relationship with the younger gentleman and then he was all about him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, dang, I should have been more understanding of the previous relationship because the dynamic there was like copy pasted, but then I became the older person in the relationship. And it was I should have been more sympathetic to my last relationship because it was like me being about me, him just wanting to be heard, and then now in this newer relationship past that one was like me wanting to be heard, and it was about this gentleman. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Am I making sense
No,
here?
you're good.
Okay, period.
But you got to find that person that wants to have that conversation.
Exactly.
And if they're not willing to have the conversation, then you're in the wrong place.
Yes, and this is why it's important to like have that long dating phase. Like
Yes.
don't rush it either. Because if I may.
Go ahead.
Okay. Date for a long time so you could see like their traumas and their triggers.
Oh.
Because let's say for instance 6 months goes by and they lose a job,
Right.
they lose a family member, they lose a friend, you get to see how they operate in that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could be like, is this what I want by my side when I go through this? Or like, are they even like nice and sympathetic in those really dark times? So
Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched on it with Cruz in episode 5 of season 1 about what there's like for him and I. We kind of talked about. I have a checklist in my head of things I would like to do with the person I'm interested in before I throw on the title. I would like to go on a trip with you somewhere. It could be to Palm Springs. It could be a cute day trip somewhere. I want to go. I want to see what you're like when you're drunk. I want to see what you're like when you party. I want to see you around your friends. I want to see how you interact with my friends. I basically want to see you in every situation that I can to be like, oh, I could spend the rest of my life with this person. I mean, we really have touched upon relationships, traumatic. We're going to talk about that in the next episode, but I really want to see, like this episode is, is trauma really teaching us something? And so I want to kind of reel it back. And since you're here, we kind of talked about some stuff from my past when I was a child that was traumatic for me bringing into my adulthood. So is there childhood trauma that has kind of been brought back up as an adult?
100%.
On your end.
Yeah, 100%. So I have a therapist right now.
Okay.
Absolutely love this person, and I work with them through the LGBT Center, so my
great.
insurance covers that. So LGBT Center, we love you. They're amazing. So right now in this phase of therapy, we're focusing on financial stability and all that comes with it. I grew up in a situation where we were kind of like homeless, going like family member to family member's house. Not really a lot to eat. Sometimes we didn't have gas. Sometimes we didn't have water. Sometimes we didn't have food or electricity, so we were really relied on our family members to like support us for that. And I think the way that that shows up in my life now is that I'm consistently always looking for more work, and I feel like I'm not getting enough. It's never enough because there's always the opportunity of like, what if this goes bad? What if, you know, I can't find my next meal? What if, you know, all those things. So there's still like I still feel them in my body, and this is what we talk about with my therapy.
Okay.
So
It's
yeah.
real.
So I mean that's like it's an ongoing, and every day that we have every time that I go through a session with him, we uncover a little bit more. Like
Okay.
it's ongoing. It's not just one thing. It's like, oh shit, I did. Oh my bad. Oh, oh dang! I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know that it affected me during the interviewing process of a job. I didn't know. I see it in my you know, calendar. How I build my calendar. My rest days, like I barely take rest days because I want to make sure that I do the best and do the most. So those rest days that I do take are still have anxiety because it's like you don't deserve rest, like you don't have enough money kind of thing.
Okay.
So that's how that shows up for me now from the past.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
that why you're always at? I mean, we've had dinners together. I've been in where he's DJing and everything, or he's been at the venue that I hired him to DJ at. Always ask me, "Is this good? Is that good?" Is that from that?
I think so too. Yeah, I think that one's a little bit more I think that has a lot to do with self-worth.
Okay.
I think that's a self-worth trauma response. Um, because I don't trust that I do a good job. I think I look outside of myself to see if there are indicators to tell me that I'm doing good.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and actually, I think that comes from the trauma of not having a support system growing up, because that support system is supposed to teach that within you. You're supposed to be taught from your primary caregivers that like you should be confident in what you produce, and when you get that critique, take that with you and then grow from it. But because I didn't necessarily have the best support system, I'm always just like, am I good enough? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? Kind of thing. And so I think that's where that shows up for me in my work.
How long do you think it took you to feel like it's okay, or it took you to have that support system that you needed?
I mean,
Is
it's
it very
still,
recent?
yeah. I mean, I don't even think, like, I still feel it every day.
Okay.
Like, I know that, so there's never a gig that goes by where I don't have anxiety.
Uh-huh.
So it could be the smallest gig, it could be the biggest gig, it could be something that I've done for years. I always get anxiety because I feel like I need to do a better job than last time, or I need to do a better job than whoever else played there.
Okay.
So it's always about like doing better, doing better, doing better. Not a bad like goal to have,
Right.
but
Let's do
I think
better, yeah.
this is where it's obsessive and kind of like unhealthy, because if no one's dancing, I get anxious and I'm like, gosh, like why is no one dancing? And then
Sometimes people go to a bar just to go to a bar to like hear, I don't know, Gaga or something, and they're just like hearing Bad Romance, and they're just talking about life and drinks, and it has nothing to do with it. They're probably really enjoying the music, but some people just don't go to clubs to dance.
right.
People don't go to the club to dance. That drives me insane. We're both in nightlife. It drives me insane sometimes. I'm like, aren't you here to like dance and stuff? But there's people just like wanting to grab a drink, hear loud music, and go, "Can you hear me now? What? What? Oh, you're going to the bathroom? Okay."
The one thing that I do love about some of the gigs that I have is that I have control over the audio.
Sure.
So like I could go up or down, and so like if I recognize that people are just chilling at a bar, that's where I could like lower the volume and people could chit chat, and like that's cute.
Well, I mean, I personally have seen, I mean, in the last year, your growth as a DJ and the space you provide and the energy and the vibe. Halfway through, he asks if he could take off. Like within 5 minutes, he goes, "Can I take my shirt off? Does this sound good? You think this is good?" I'm like, "Girl, you play the best music in West Hollywood, so hey."
And that's the tea.
And that's the tea.
Hire me.
But so, speaking of the support system, how important do you think having a support system is?
Can't live without it.
Can't live without
Can't
it.
live without it.
No.
I don't think you can live without a support system.
Do you
Go ahead.
I think having a support system is really extremely important when you're going through something traumatic like that. For me, I'm really close to my mom, and so I call my mom when I'm dealing with something, and she knows how to calm me down, or I'll call one of my friends, and they'll calm me down, or they'll be like, hey, let's just go get something to eat, let's go take a drive, where do you want to go? And I think you've done a really great. We've gone through some things in the last year, and let me tell you, we true friends here. Really has helped me get through a few things. What do you need? Do you want me to bring you over some meal? You don't want to cook tonight? That kind of a thing. So, but for some people, when they shut down from that traumatic experience, their mechanism is, I don't need anybody. I'm gonna go have my room. I don't know, get drunk or get stoned or something or partake in anything, and like they'll just want to just like shut down, and that's okay to have your space and everything. But the only way, like I said, for you to get out of that situation or that experience and grow from that trauma is to reach out to your support system. Or if you don't feel comfortable with a friend of yours, find someone that's not a friend. And you feel, because I feel like when people they want to talk about their trauma, or talk about an event, I feel like they feel like they're gonna be judged or thought of that. And I think, I mean, in all of my friendships, I think we're like the least judgmental. Like, just tell me, it's
Yeah.
okay.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot that you said that's so important.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I love the most about your podcast specifically is at the end of your podcast, you always say "I love you," and my God, I cannot tell you how important that is to hear that. So crucial. And I think a lot of the people that are going to be watching this and listening to this
Mm-hmm.
are probably like West Hollywood or um, gays that are younger
Mm-hmm.
and who are in their party scene or
Mm-hmm.
potentially like
Trying to
in
figure themselves out.
their yeah or finding themselves and yeah, if they stumble upon this, then they're like inquiring about like a better life, I would assume,
Yeah,
or
it's.
trying to understand themselves. So to that point,
Mm-hmm.
I would say that like what you mentioned was like don't stay in your room, find a support system, use people around you. Yes, I think it is 100% important to have your moment and cry and
Feel it.
feel,
Feel it.
but it is also just as important to feel in front of someone as well,
Mm-hmm.
because we are not my mom used to say this,
Okay.
we're not an island of ourselves.
Okay.
Like we're not separate from everybody, we have a community, and maybe our environments don't really show that community a
Mm-hmm.
lot because like we could be like, not the nicest to each other,
Mm-hmm.
or like
Mm-hmm.
backstabby, or talk about like, oh, she's not cute, we don't want to hang out with her. Like, okay, then don't talk to those people. Those aren't the people you want to talk to, because they'll probably tell somebody else and be like, oh,
Right.
she's crazy, she has problems. First of all, everyone has problems.
Everybody has
Like
problems.
literally everybody has problems. um but to that point, like, go to the LGBT center, go to sobriety, the West Hollywood Recovery Center, go to the log cabin. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not just about being sober, but it's just about having a community of people that
Yeah.
care. It can be even church too. Like there's a
Yeah.
church here in
Yeah.
WeHo,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the point is that like if you really want to get over something, it's important to do it on your own, but also incorporate the people around you, because they will remind you how much you matter and how
Mm-hmm.
much people care about you.
Agree.
Um, and yeah, if it's about loss, then you're reminded about the beautiful things of reality.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I mean,
take it
you
in.
kind of just talked about that too. Like, you know, and as traumatic as losing my brother is, um, it made me realize how short life is, and that every moment is really special, and the fact that you're able to wake up every single day is a blessing. There is no timeline to get over something. You're allowed to feel it, go through it, be angry about it, cry your eyes out in private if you're not an in-person crier. But there is no timeline. Like I thought that I would need to get over my relationship right there and then. Boy, did it take me a full. When they say the length of how long you're in that last relationship, that's how long it takes to get over it. Real tea. It took me 5 years. Now we're going on 6 years to fully feel like myself and I can be myself and not feel like I'm doing the wrong thing because someone put that in my head. Um, but
Which is also trauma
right.
because yeah, I mean, we can get into like the deepest parts of that, but you being someone who cares,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure your listeners and viewers will relate to this,
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes we take it upon ourselves from our past experiences what someone else is saying about us. So like you being someone who cares and loves and is empathetic wants to care for me, and if
Mm-hmm.
I retaliate in anger and be like, no, you're the problem, you're really going to take that on and be like, damn, I am the problem, when that's not even the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's where trauma can really set in as well. And I'm glad that you're no longer, like, how do I say this, like, believing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, because that's bad guy for doing that to him, first of all. So don't ever do that again.
Well, I feel like sometimes when somebody can be angry about like this besides trauma, like if someone's angry towards you, it doesn't sometimes yes, it could be because you did something wrong or whatever. But if they're yelling at you and you're in a normal situation and you're just like, whoa. So in the past, I took it like, oh, gosh, I did something wrong. I did something wrong. And then I realized, you know what? This person has something going on in their life, and I am just the soundboard for them. Sometimes in those situations, you just gotta take a deep breath.
And I think that's a great example of you having the tools to recognize that what you probably took on to yourself
Mm-hmm.
no longer needed to be taken on to yourself.
Right.
And with those tools, you're able to say, like, hey, this doesn't affect me to the degree it could have
Mm-hmm.
if I didn't know how to operate with this person. Go ahead.
No, it's. I think we kind of touched upon it a little bit, but how do it trauma there's triggers, so how do you handle those triggers? Like you mentioned the homelessness thing and
Mm.
you mentioned financial stability, that kind of, and not having a support system as a kid. So how do you handle those triggers now as an adult?
Uh,
Obviously therapy,
right,
but
right.
like
I mean, again, I have to say therapy has been like the biggest game changer for me because it
mm,
allows me the opportunity to talk to a professional who gives me the tools to deal with it. But if I were to say real time, um, so caffeine gets my heart racing, and then when my heart starts racing, that's when I start getting anxious. So let's say, for instance, if like today, I'll give you an example.
mm,
Today, um, I received an email from an employer saying that, like, hey, we're going to go in a different direction.
mm,
We don't want your services.
mm,
And so that was kind of like ego. What do you call it? Like, where like you're like,
it took a hit on your ego.
yeah, exactly. It took a hit on my ego. So I was feeling a little bit like worthless because it was like, oh dang, like I'm not gonna have enough money now because this potential opportunity.
Yeah, I
So
know that
the
feeling.
money situation was coming up, and then my man was like, okay, we got to go to the gym now, and I was like, okay, well I'm tired. I'm gonna have to drink caffeine, and so I started drinking caffeine, and then everything he said became a fight.
It was boom.
It was like I was seeing red, and I was like, what do you mean you meant by that? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? And then in that moment, that's where I was like, this isn't him, this is my body, and this is my idea of what's going on. And then that's where I was like, I need to take a breather,
Mm-hmm.
I need to calm down,
Mm-hmm.
I need to see him as my partner and not as opposition.
Mm,
And that's where I was like, okay, he and I are together on this. We are going to work through any disagreement or whatever it is that we are going through.
okay.
And that has been more recent, is recognizing that there's a the trigger was whatever he said, but there was also the catalyst of caffeine and not getting this job that made me feel worthless.
Yeah.
And so these little things add up, and then I fight, but then I recognize, hold up, I don't need to fight. Like, I could just communicate.
Mm-hmm.
I know he has the best intentions, and I could hear him out,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually went better from that.
Yeah.
Like, instead of us working out together, I ended up chilling by the pool and like closing my eyes and hopping in the jacuzzi, and then he did his workout. We got back together, and then we went shopping, and everything was it was better from that. And
Sounds very healthy.
it was very healthy. And again, thank you LGBT Center for providing the healthcare services,
I,
because if that was not the case, girl,
I think you touched upon something that I didn't even think about that was traumatic for me. I, being an adult is not easy. Losing a job because you either got laid off or you actually got fired. Well, they're both the same thing, but laid off. There's fired usually means they're like, you did something bad or etc. Or you got laid off because there was budget cuts or they're downsizing the company or whatever it is. Um, that that I had series of months of unemployment, doing random gigs to get by, etc. And I think the last time it took a hit on my ego, it actually takes a hit on my ego every time the times I've lost a job, because it was just like, am I worth it? Like, am I gonna get another job? Am I gonna be able to support myself, and keep up with the lifestyle that I deserve, and want? Um, and I think the last time it took a hit on my ego is I got laid off, gosh, a year or so ago. And I was like, oh, this was such a great opportunity. And I screwed up and I should have done a little bit better. I was getting better, and I'm like, dang, they had budget cuts. They didn't want my position anymore. So it was like, what did I do? I learned from it. And I hope in the next position in the same field, I will do better. And I've learned from my mistakes, but it does take a hit to your confidence
yeah.
and who you are. It's like, am I? When we go back to being trauma, good or bad, it makes you feel like, am I a bad person? Did I do something bad? It hurt. I locked myself in a room for a whole day, and I was like, mm. And I was like, you know what? We can't let jobs define us because that's not the only part of us that makes us human. You know?
And to like add to that, I
Mm-hmm.
would say that narrative of the am I a bad person is the trauma talking, because somewhere along your life you believed that you not keeping a job means you're bad,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, something similar to that. I'm not saying that like clinically, but I'm saying that as like from what I know so far. um does that make sense?
Yeah. No. 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 You're good.
I
You're
was like,
good.
okay, period. I don't want
No.
to say something out of the blue, but
But for me, it's you can't, like, there's more to you than your trauma. You definitely can learn from it. You can't, like I said, let a job define you because you're way more than the job. Um, a job has a function to make money, so you can buy things, go places, do things, but that is not who you are as a person. I think connecting with humans and getting where you need to be, like, you can get yourself anywhere in the world as long as you put the energy and time and work into it. But don't it's natural to feel that way,
yeah.
but you have to get up from it and do it again, try something new.
Yes, and something else that I would love to
Mm-hmm.
talk about when we talk
Mm-hmm.
about tools.
Mm-hmm.
I started meditating
Really?
every 10 minutes, like either when I wake up or before I go to bed.
Okay.
What I do is I just like close my eyes, I set a timer for 10 minutes, and I just allow whatever thoughts to come into my head and feel whatever it is,
Sure.
and not react to it. And that has been the hardest thing to do. I had to open my eyes a couple times at like
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes because it
Mm-hmm.
gets so overwhelming,
Mm-hmm.
but I just kept doing it. And it's 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 helpful. It's really helpful. You start seeing things that, yeah, I guess you start seeing like that the emotion can exist without you being controlled by it. And I
Mm.
think that's what's important when we're talking about tools for like trauma.
Mm.
So
I
that's
think also like I mean I probably bring up Mel Robbins 500 times and I'm gonna bring her up again, but the let them theory has helped me a lot release control and stop giving my energy to certain situations, and then that includes trauma. I stopped giving energy to that relationship that ended 6 years ago because I was like, why am I allowing myself to give my power away to that? And it goes beyond relationships. It goes to situations, work situations, and everyday life occurrences. It's sometimes it's you can be experience a sugar in a grocery store. Sometimes I get triggered in a grocery store. I'm like, oh my god, you're cutting me off. Oh my god, you're gonna ruin my day. No, like take it on back. Stop giving me the power situation. Let's go. Let's move on. We gotta get our groceries and get the heck out of here. But for me, I think the way I handle triggers, um, hmm, that's a really good question. I'm the one who wrote it down. How do I handle my triggers? I am a big fan of long walks. I am a big fan of calling friends. I love having my little Sims on my phone of Find My Friends, and that's when I know I can, if they're at work, I don't disturb them. If they're at home, be like, "I'm all right. We're calling you." I call my friends for support. I call my mom for support. I call a lot of my family members for support. I think I handle my triggers by going to the gym. I'm very proud of myself. Now 5 days a week.
Woo.
Has really helped me take a deep breath. Um, for meditate I've done meditation in the past. It has helped, but for me, like I'm such an antsy person, so it's hard for me to stay in one space. But if I can do it in my room. I can't do it. It's hard for me to do with other people, like because I'm like halfway through, I'm like,
right.
what are they doing?
Yeah, and if I could like add real quick to that,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be different techniques that are going to work for other people in
Right.
different ways. So what works for me is probably not going to work for you.
Yeah. No, really depends on the person. Like everyone is really different. Some people like they handle their triggers by
Drinking. I'm just kidding.
well, if you are, don't do this. That is not an escape. From in a natural, healthy way to handle your triggers is get a therapist. Is one. Meditation is one. Going out with friends is one.
Going for a walk, like you said.
Going for a long. I like going on walks. I feel like, and also I go hiking as well. Runyon is great. All the other hiking spots are great. It allows me to like it being no matter where you're living. I feel like LA can be very intense sometimes. And when I go back to Monterey and see my parents and my family and everything like that, it allows me to like, it's not that serious.
Exactly. So can I add to that?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So my boyfriend's family came into town like a month ago, and we were showing them around LA, and we went to the UCLA Botanical Garden,
Oh, I love that.
and it was really beautiful.
It's really pretty.
We were like outside of West Hollywood, and we were like running around LA, and I was like, West Hollywood is such a small little thing compared to the rest of LA.
Yep.
And like here I am worried about like, do producers like me? Like, am I getting enough gigs? Like, am I even going to be successful as a DJ? And then like I look at the macro perspective, I'm like, I'm worried about so much when I could just look at the beautifulness of like life. Like maybe I can go back to school too, or look at some flowers, or
Yeah.
it's yeah. I really like what you said about that because I think that was really important to say.
It's a good reset, and when I'm not able to, that's why like when like when in that time we went to Palm Springs, I was like, perfect. This is a perfect like couple days to take a deep breath. Palm Springs is a lot slower paced city than LA is. And like I said, like when you're removed from that, you're just like, oh, it's not that serious. Like take a deep breath. Like there's more to the world than one part of LA. There's K Town, there's downtown, there's Westwood, Santa Monica, etc. And there's places for you to reset and find that balance. And I think for me, nature's a good. That's how I handle my triggers and my trauma. And I really depend on my friends. I'm very, very lucky to live with a family member. When we moved in with each other, he was like, "Ash, I'm literally here. I am the least judgmental person. If you want to talk something out, I don't care how lengthy the conversation is. That's really, I'm here for it. So it's really important to have that support system and how you handle triggers. It is healthy to lock yourself in a room and not want to talk to the world. I have those days where I'll just throw on my do not disturb and not want to talk to anybody. But I think you touched on a lot of tools that help with folks that have the same experiences as, growing up and going into now. And you got to realize sometimes these traumas are natural. We're human. It's okay. It's okay to go through something, but it's the way you handle it and you get yourself out of it. But
Yeah.
any last parting words and advice to our listeners here tonight
Yes.
or today?
Um, everyone has trauma.
Mm.
Nobody is perfect. If you are going to therapy, or if you're not going to therapy and you realize that you hurt somebody,
Mm.
or you notice there's a pattern in your life that you haven't been able to overcome, uh, you are not the problem.
Mm.
You don't hate yourself. The last thing you need to do is hate yourself.
Mm.
The answer more likely is love yourself and be compassionate, because I have traumas, he has traumas, I'm sure the people who are watching and listening to this have trauma, and we all want to harp on ourselves and say our trauma is the hardest,
Mm.
um or or we're messed up so much that, like, we'll never be fixed or whatever. And I think that narrative needs to be quieted. I don't think that needs to have a space in someone's mind, especially if you are addressing these things, because there are many people that don't address their traumas, or aren't looking to better themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd much rather be in a relationship with someone who's working on themselves
Yeah,
than
I
someone
agree.
who doesn't take accountability. Who doesn't take accountability? I'm just kidding. We're not gonna get into that. But yeah, I would rather be in a relationship with someone who is working on themselves and
Mm-hmm.
messes up a couple times, but like ends up apologizing at the end of the day or the end of the week, rather
Yeah,
than someone who is like, "You're the one that did this. You're the one that did this," and then that's where, like,
romantically and personally.
yeah,
I think, like I said, and I think there's no timeline to heal the trauma, and the experience that you do have, it is valid. Everybody's trauma, like you said, is not one is not bigger than the other. um, that person experienced that, it is valid, that experience is valid. But for me, if you're listening out there and you've connected with Lord Isaac and I think that I'm glad we can be here for you, and I hope you've connected with something. And if I can add one more thing, if anybody hasn't told you today, I love you, we believe in you, and you can do anything you set your beautiful mind to. Um, Thank you for being here. I am, ugh, our first guest
can I
back.
have a hug?
Yes. Thank you guys for listening. And don't forget to subscribe, follow, share as we expand this safe space together. And like I said, you catch Lord Isaac DJing in West Hollywood, Long Beach. He's going to be all over the place. So catch him wherever you can. And again, thank you for being here. And we'll catch you guys next time on One More Thing with Ash. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.